Welcome to John Gets Games. This is my mid-November variety vlog, and I know I haven't done one of these in quite a while because my life has been pretty crazy recently. However, Pre-BGGcon is next week, so I've got a top 10 list of games that I'm excited to play there, and a couple other things. First of all, talking about Pre-BGGcon, please come up and say hi if you see me at the convention. It'd be great to meet more people at the convention, especially people who enjoy the stuff that I've been putting out. It would be a blast to meet different people, and I'm going to have t-shirts on. In fact, this leads me to my second point. I'm going to have t-shirts with my brand new logo. I finally finished it. It took like 9 months, pretty much a full calendar year if you count the original brainstorming, because I tried to get a new logo out for last year's BoardGameGeekCon, but man, this stuff takes a long time. Either way, it's done. You can see it over there on the right, and I'm really happy with it. I'm going to have t-shirts on with that logo on the back, so you should be able to spot me from afar. I'm really excited about BoardGameGeekCon and the new logo. The last thing to mention before I get to that list is that I am officially married. You can see there the rings on my finger. I got married on December 17th of last month, and I could not be happier. It's been truly amazing, and it took an astounding amount of time, which is part of the reason why I haven't been getting out very much video content lately, but I think you can understand. So with that, let's jump into the top 10 games that I'm really excited to play at the convention. Number 10 is 504. If you haven't heard about this game, it's a crazy idea where you have 9 different game mechanic modules, and you choose 3 of them in a specific order, and it generates a game for you. And when you do this, when you put all these things together into an equation, it spits out the fact that there are 504 different games that you can play in this gigantic box. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm actually going to enjoy these games very much, but it's on this top 10 list in the 10th spot because I've got to try it. I've got to see how it actually comes together. I'm fascinated at the idea. I love that somebody decided to design it because holy cow, that seems like a crazy idea. I'm hoping I enjoy it at all, really. I just hope it works. So looking forward to giving that one a shot. Number 9 is Dragonflame. It looks kind of like Coloretto meets Burning Villages. The idea of Coloretto, if you haven't played it before, is a very simple game where you either take a lot of cards or you draw a card and put it into a lot, but then, of course, your opponents will get to take those cards before you get to pick again. So it has that push your luck idea of, do I cash out now or do I just push my luck and try and get better stuff? Dragonflame seems to have that idea, but you are also commanding dragons that burn villages, and there's a whole different set of different kind of cards that you can get. It's not just set collecting colors like in Coloretto, so it looks like it might be a more thematically interesting version of Coloretto. I love Coloretto, so I want to give it a shot. Number 8 is Royal Goods, or Oh My Goods. I'm not really sure which one is the actual correct name for it, but this game is designed by Alexander Pfister, who is one of my favorite board game designers. He designed Port Royal, which is an excellent push your luck game that I loved last year, and in fact, Royal Goods is kind of a sequel to that in that Port Royal was designed as part of this cool idea where it was donated to a board gaming museum in Germany, and all proceeds of purchasing that game went to that museum. Now that was actually a original version. Port Royal was a slightly modified version of that game, and Royal Goods is the next version of that, where the designer is doing the same thing, where proceeds to buying the game go to this board game museum. That's really neat, but this also seems like it's a cool, meaty little card game, and he does a really good job of designing those. The overall mechanics of the game, I don't know a ton about. I know there's a little bit of simultaneous player selection where they're choosing what they're going to be doing, and then some goods come out and you figure out what you can build. You're like getting helpers and getting buildings, and you're creating goods in a medieval town. It's a very familiar theme to a lot of people, but I really like Alexander Pfister, and I love the stuff he does, so automatically I'm very interested in giving it a shot. Number 7 is Automania, and I hadn't actually heard about this game until very recently, but it looks like it's got some really cool stuff going on. It's a worker placement game, but the main gist of the mechanic is you have a grid, a 4x4 grid of tiles that randomly come out. But when you grab your workers, you don't put them on those tiles. Instead, you put them either on the top or down the side, and then you grab one of the tiles that is either that column or that row. And you get to do actions based off of those things, and there's a whole bunch of different stuff going on. Realistically, you are building cars, like small cars, sports cars, and that kind of thing, and you're customizing them with various, like fuel economy, or just they go really fast, and you sell them to different markets, and it's got great art, but at the center of it, I love that idea of worker placement with that grid, grabbing those tiles. It sounds fascinating, and I'd really like to give that one a shot. Number 6 is time stories. Now, I'm not sure if I want to just play the whole game at BoardGameGeekCon or maybe try a demo. I don't even know if you can demo this game because the way it works is it's this really cool cooperative time travel puzzle solving mystery. But you can only play it once because there's just no replayability. You play through a preset story, and once you do it once, you can't really play it again because you know all the answers. You know what's behind every door. There's really going to be no enjoyment there. And I've heard that the game takes between 3.5 and 6 hours to do pretty much everything in the game. I think there's lots of tiny little things you can really squeeze out at the end, but I've heard of people finishing it definitely in that range. And I've heard it's great, and I really want to try it because it sounds like an awesome storytelling experience with a bunch of thinking with your friends, trying to figure it out. But I don't know if I want to buy it because that's, you only get to play it once. And I think that BoardGameGeekCon might be a great environment to just sit down and play the whole thing and see if I really enjoy it. And if I do, well, then I can actually get it, but keep getting modules in the future because they're going to keep selling new cases that will add replayability to the game. And if I really love that first one, then it might be worth it for me to invest into getting more of these into the future. Number 5 is Dice City. Now, the thing that really pulled me into this game is it's truly a dice customizing game. It does this by giving you this huge player board, and it has 6 different columns on it that are associated with the 6 sides of a D6. And in the beginning of the game, they all do kind of boring things. And so when you roll that green die, for instance, you look at the board and there's a green row, and you say, okay, I rolled a 2 with a green die. That means I'm going to produce 1 wood. Well, that's not terribly interesting, but the cool stuff comes in that with the resources that you're going to be getting, you can buy upgrades, and you can say, no, instead of building a wood, I'm going to put a catapult there, and now it can attack barbarians every time I roll a green 2 in the future. And it's not all luck-based because you roll your dice and you put them out and you see what they're going to do, but you can also spend dice that maybe rolled into a slot that you didn't like to move other dice around to get to spots that are really good. So it's got engine building, you're customizing the faces of all these dice. It just looks like a really cool idea. I definitely want to give this one a shot. There's a little bit of player interaction where you can attack your opponents or just some neutral villagers. It seems like attacking your opponents is not that big of a deal, so I'm a little worried about it being a little mean, but I'm going to reserve that judgment until I give it a shot. Next up is number 4, and that is My Village. Now, this is a sequel to Village, which is a Euro game that I never actually played. It looked like it had some really cool ideas. You grow people, and they get old, and they die, and you do a bunch of Euro-y stuff, and I've heard really good things about it. But this game is, the thing that really pulls me into this one is that it's a dice pool drafting game, which means a bunch of dice are rolled at the beginning of each round, and then each player pulls dice out of that pool in order to do various things. I love pool drafting in general, whether it's cards or dice or cubes or whatever, and so I'm automatically quite interested in trying this game out. It also has this idea of having people in your village get old and they die. You have a little death marker that goes around, and every time you do anything, time goes by, and you move this little token around until it hits the Grim Reaper, and then you have to kill somebody. But thematically, it looks really cool. Like, you're just churning things out in this village. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can build a humongous church to get a bunch of points, or you can have a bunch of travelers to get a bunch of points, or you can make a bunch of goods and sell them to get a bunch of points. At the end of the day, it's all about getting points, but I love that dice pool drafting mechanic, and this game just looks like a really good interpretation of it, so I definitely want to give that one a go. Number 3 is automobiles. So this is different than Automania. It's funny, I'm not actually that big into cars in general. Like, if you ask me what kind of car that is on the street, I will have no idea. But here, there are 2 games about cars in my top 10 to play. So Automobiles is a bag building game, and it looks like it's a very streamlined version, which is one of the reasons I'm really excited about this. So the idea of a bag builder is, it's kind of like deck building, but you have a cloth bag and you throw cubes into it, you shuffle them all around, and then you grab a certain amount out, and then you get to do stuff with it. There have been several bag builders that came out last year, like Hyperborea and King's Pouch and Orleans, but this is a new one, and this one seems like it's a very streamlined version. It's not a 90 to 120 minute Euro. It seems like you just sit down and you just race cars around a grid. It's just a racing game. You have a racetrack on your board, and most of the cubes you're going to be pulling out just let you go 1, 2, 3, or 4 spaces on the track. You're just racing around and around, but you're also spending some cubes for money to get new cubes to throw into the bag, and they can let you do all sorts of things. In fact, the game has a bit of replayability because some of those cubes are different each game. Like, a green cube might let you get rid of wear and tear cubes in this one game, or in the next game, a green cube might let you, I don't know, multiply some other cube that you're doing. I don't actually know what the specifics of them are, but I know there's replayability there. And it seems like it probably plays in like 45 minutes to an hour, and it also seems like you can just sit down and start going in just a couple minutes. It looks vibrant, cool. I'm very excited to give this one a shot. I like racing games in general, and this seems like a cool twist on it with the whole bag building thing. Number 2 is Seven Wonders Duel. So this is interesting because it's only a 2-player game, and I'm going to a board game convention with thousands of people there, but I'm really hoping to get at least one playthrough of this with one of my friends because, well, I like Seven Wonders. When it first came out, I was really into it, but the more I played it, the more I realized I'm not actually crazy about hand-drafted games where you have a hand of cards and you pick one and you pass the rest to your opponent going around in a circle. I'm okay with those games, but they don't really do that much for me. And Seven Wonders Duel gets, they changed that from hand drafting to pool drafting, which again, I just talked about loving. So instead, in this game, instead of having those dice, you have cards. And you put the cards out on the board, and some of them are face up, some of them are face down. And as you draft these cards into your area, you will reveal other cards that your opponent will be able to access. So you really have to think about how much do I want this card, because I might flip over a card which none of us even know what it is. It could help them or not. Or it could be a card that you know what it is, and oh, I love pool building. So very excited about that change to the game. And also it's a 2-player game, so it's been very streamlined to work perfectly with that player count. And I like 2-player games. I don't actually get to play them terribly often, but I'm excited to try this one. You have the typical Seven Wonders building up a little engine with a bunch of resources, and you can get money through this and that. And in this one, actually, you get to build multiple wonders instead of just building one wonder throughout the game. Like the original Seven Wonders, you will be drafting a set of wonders. And from what I've seen, some of them look pretty mean. Like you reach over to your opponent's area and destroy a card that they spend a bunch of money on. I'm a little worried about that player interaction. It might be too mean, but I also figure you could probably go through and just take out all the wonders that you think are too mean for you, just throw them in the box, and then just play it without those, because it seems like most of the super mean interaction comes from those wonders. Anyway, very excited to give this one a shot. And the number 1 game I'm excited to play at BoardGameGeekCon is Gold West. This one kind of surprised me. I started seeing photos of it a couple months ago and thought, that game looks pretty interesting. And then I started to see a little bit more. I watched a couple videos and I realized this game looks very cool. I don't know why, but it's just got me so interested. So it looks like a light Euro game where you are just exploring an area in the gold rush time period, and you are getting all these resources, and you put them onto your player board, and you activate them in a Mancala style. But instead of going around in a circle, it's just a single line. You pick all of them up, you drop one off at every space until you get to the end, and then everything that falls out at the end are resources that you get to use on that turn. And you use these for just going up a couple tracks. There's a little bit of area majority with certain tracks for selling this stuff, but there's also some area majority or just majority scoring, not really area, for the different areas that you grab on the map that you're playing with. And I know I'm not making it sound very interesting, but everything I've seen just makes it look very compelling, like a solid 45-minute Euro experience that looks gorgeous, has really great bits. I'm having a really hard time putting my finger down on exactly why this game has me so excited, but you know what? At the end of the day, I am super excited, so I very, very much want to get a play of this game in. It looks solid. I'm very excited about it. So that was my top 10 games to play at the convention. However, there are 45 other games on a large spreadsheet that I've been working on that I am also interested in trying through various levels of excitement. So it's not just those 10 games. There are so many games I want to play, and also I know there's going to be games that I show up and I've never even heard of them, or I kind of forgot about them, and I say, yes, I really want to play that. And these are some of the reasons why I'm so excited to be down there for like 5.5 days. I'm just going to play so many games. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So that shifts me into the last section, and so normally at the end of these vlogs, I would tell you about all the games I've acquired in the last month, and I'd tell you a little bit about them. However, I haven't done one of these in a couple months because life got so crazy, and in those couple months, I somehow acquired 21 games. So I'm not going to go through 21 games right now. I'm just going to throw the list over there, and you can see all the stuff that I've acquired. I have played only a few of these at this point because time to play games has been somewhat minimal, but going forward, I'm very much looking forward to giving a whole bunch of these a shot. Some of these were Kickstarters, some of them I just put in orders and I got them, and a couple of these are actually previews that were sent to me by designers, so there is a huge variety of games that are out there in my little circle that I'm very excited to play. It is a great time to be into board games, and I just could not be happier. So I'm glad you watched my video. If you like to see more stuff like this, including the long reviews I do and full game playthroughs, which I'm hoping to do more of soon, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.